I have too many space interests to choose just one path. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, that was me. And that's actually a very common sentiment, both students and young professionals, as well as people more senior in the space sector. The passion is high. The diversity of interests is there. And there's not a whole lot of incentive to just choose one or two or three things to focus on. However, if you really want to get into the space sector, or if you really want to progress your space career, it really is beneficial for you to focus and figure out what you truly want to do. Hi, I'm Lara Forsick. I am a space professional and space career coach. One of the things I work on with my clients is how to narrow down their options when they feel like their interests are all over the place. And if this is you, stay tuned because I'm going to show you how I can help my clients to progress their space careers when they have so many interests. You might be asking yourself, why? Why do I need to niche down? Why do I need to focus on a specific path? It's because we only have 24 hours in a day. There's only one of you. You have limited resources, that is limited time, limited energy, limited money, limited focus. You really need to conserve your resources for what it is you truly want to go after today. This might not be what you go after tomorrow, but today you need to figure out what to prioritize so that you aren't all over the place and making no progress with 100 interests. Instead, you are making progress with one or two or three interests at a time and seeing results from that focus. So the key word there is prioritize. And this is the very thing I tell my clients and help them to do. So you can prioritize in a number of ways. Accessibility. Is something that you want to pursue accessible to you right now? Or do you need to jump through a lot of hoops? Do you need to get credentials? Do you need to go get back to school? Do you need to wait for something to start or for the timing to be right? Or is something right in front of you? Is something easily accessible to you right now? So accessibility is really one of the easiest ways to know what to prioritize today. Again, it may not be what you prioritize tomorrow, but if something is in front of you right now, it's low-hanging fruit. It's easy for you to prioritize that today. Feasibility is another way to prioritize. How feasible is it that you can do this? If you are looking to do something highly technical and you don't have a technical background, yes, you can go back to school and get that kind of studying done so you can get that credential and that knowledge. Yes, you can teach yourself a technical skill, but if it's not very feasible for you to do this quickly, or if it's not very feasible for you to do this at all, maybe it's something that you're just not naturally good at, and therefore it's going to take you a lot of time to learn. I'm not saying never do it. I'm not saying never take that time to go learn new skills, because absolutely you should. But in order to prioritize, you need to understand what is feasible for you to do. It might be something also that costs a whole lot of money that you just don't have, or maybe a whole lot of time that you just don't have, or maybe it's halfway around the world. Whatever it happens to be, maybe it's just outside of your reach right now. I would personally love to go to the International Space Station and do research in microgravity, like literally in microgravity, but that is not accessible and feasible for me to do right now. So I'm gonna have to wait on that dream. So what is feasible for you to do today? I just mentioned financial as another way that you can prioritize. Maybe it is a course of study that you want to enroll in, or maybe it is a job that requires you to take a pay cut, or maybe you actually need to pause working for a short period of time to do something volunteer or to go pursue studies. Whatever it may be, maybe you're not in a financial situation where you can make that kind of sacrifice right now. So maybe you want to someday go after that PhD or go after that advanced degree or do a 6-month analog astronaut research stint. Whatever it happens to be that requires you to be financially in a place that you aren't right now, maybe isn't something for you to prioritize today. I also mentioned doing things halfway around the world. Maybe you are in the United States and you want to travel to Russia, and that's just not in the cards right now. Maybe you are in another country and you want to go work in the United States space industry. Maybe that's just not accessible to you right now either. Maybe you want to go study in Strasbourg, France at ISU and you're nowhere near France, or whatever it happens to be geographically. If it is not easy for you to get to, if you can't make that kind of sacrifice, if you have something, family, a spouse, a job that requires you to stay put where you are, then maybe something that is elsewhere in the world is not something for you to prioritize prioritize today. Maybe it's something to plan for in the future, but maybe not something for you to focus on today. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, is that personal drive within yourself. What motivates you? What causes you to burn with that passion for space? For some people, it is a focus on becoming a multi-planetary species and extending humanity outward into the stars. That's my personal one. Perhaps it is something to do with studying certain type of research. Maybe you're in the medical field and you want to cure cancer and you think that doing drug studies, microgravity is the way to do so. Or maybe it's something to do with the defense industry, national security, and you want to protect the civilians and the warfighters down on the ground, do that through surveillance and satellites and whatever it is that is your personal drive. And for each one of us, it's going to be different. So you need to look within yourself and be honest. Yes, you might say that you will take any space job, but is that actually true? Or do you want to prioritize civilian or military or commercial, or what type of space actually drives you? And what type of missions drive you? Do you want to monitor the environment for looking at global warming? Or maybe you want to understand how Venus was formed so that you can prevent what happened to Venus happening on Earth. There's just so many different ways that you can approach this, so many different motivators that can cause you to say, actually, this is what interests me in space, and therefore I'm going to go after this type of work, this type of research, or this type of project. Whatever that is, use that passion to guide you, to prioritize what it is you focus on first. And if you have many different passions, take that top one and break it down, because chances are there's a lot of things that fall under that same category that can help you to understand what to prioritize. And so to sum it up, I really do recommend ranking. List everything out. If you're the type of person who likes to list things, then list it out. Actually physically rank things and understand that you can do multiple things on this list, but perhaps choose the top 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 things to focus on right now, and understand that you could come to those other things lower on the list a little bit later. But for right now, focus on your top favorites, because there's only one of you and you need to make some progress forward. Now, another trick that can help is if you take this list and you see things that can combine together. When I was in high school, when I was a teenager, I had an interest in public policy and I had an interest in space. And it really wasn't until graduate school, when I was in my early 20s, that I knew that space policy existed. So I could combine certain interests. I could combine my love of space with my love of policy and get into space policy work. So find ways that you can combine your interests together to go after both of your passions at once. And finally, be honest with yourself about what you're capable of doing. Some people can juggle more than others, and for some people, it's more about where you are in your stage of life. So for example, when I was single and childless in my early and mid 20s, I could juggle a lot of projects at once because that was my passion. That's what I wanted to dedicate my time to, and I could dedicate my time to it. But now I am the mother of small children. So I need to make sure that I can spend a lot of time focused on the things that truly matter in my career, so that I can also spend a lot of time focused on things that matter outside of my career. So really understand that this is personal preference. Some people are capable of juggling a lot based on their own personality and also their stage of life. And some people really need to focus on one thing at a time, or maybe 2 things at a time. So be honest with yourself about who you are right now and what you truly prefer. If you're going to be overwhelmed by looking at 3 different interests at once, then choose one. Choose 2. There's no reason why you have to do more than what you can handle. Often we get into a trap where we see others doing really cool things and we want to emulate them, or we think they're doing something cool. Why can't I do this cool thing as well? And you can. But maybe you can't do it today. Maybe you need to wait. I see all kinds of people flying to space on suborbital rockets or going to ISS, going on a Dragon free flyer. I want to do that too, but maybe my time isn't now, So really understand that you really can pursue your passions, but maybe 1 at a time, or maybe 2 or 3 at a time, and you'll get to the others later. Just know if you go after what you're capable of, it doesn't mean you're saying no to those other interests forever. It means that you're just saying no to them now, and you can get to them later. If you are having problems with this, if you are trying to figure out even how to articulate your interests, let alone to prioritize them and focus, contact me for Space Career Coaching. I'm happy to see if I can help you. Go to lauraforsick.com.